What if I told you that the greatest threat to goodness in the world isn't evil, but naivety? That the purest intentions can be crushed not by bad luck, but by a poor understanding of how power actually works? What if, to protect what's good, you first had to think like a villain? It sounds unsettling, doesn't it? But if you've ever wondered why corrupt people rise while the virtuous struggle, or why so many kind-hearted leaders fall, this might be the most important idea you'll ever hear. It's the uncomfortable wisdom of a man many love to hate, but few truly understand. Niccolo Machiavelli. Picture this. A young, honest reformer steps into politics. Smart, idealistic, full of hope. She wants to change the system, fight injustice, speak truth to power. But within months, she's pushed aside. Her allies abandon her. Her enemies smear her. The system chews her up and spits her out. Not because her ideas were wrong, but because she didn't understand the game. This is the tragedy of the good. Goodness alone is not enough. Not in a world where wolves hunt in packs and power is a battlefield. And this is exactly where Machiavelli's realism becomes essential. Machiavelli has a reputation. Say his name and most people think manipulation, ruthlessness, cunning. They imagine him whispering in the ears of tyrants, but the truth is far more interesting and far more useful. Machiavelli didn't praise corruption. He analyzed it. He wasn't teaching evil. He was teaching survival. In his most famous work, The Prince, he writes like a war doctor, not a dreamer. He doesn't ask what politics should be. He asks what politics is. If you want to protect the good, you must first understand the bad. But what was The Prince really? The Prince wasn't a manifesto of evil. It was a survival guide written in a time of chaos. Italy in Machiavelli's day was a patchwork of warring city-states, foreign invasions, betrayals, and collapsing republics. Machiavelli had witnessed firsthand how idealistic leaders were swept aside by ruthless opportunists. So he sat down and wrote The Prince not as a dreamer, but as a battlefield surgeon, dissecting political life with surgical precision. His message was brutal, yes, but urgent. When he said, "If you want to lead, you must stop pretending the world is kinder than it is." He offered raw advice to those in power, not to encourage tyranny, but to help leaders endure, navigate danger, and outsmart destruction. It wasn't about building empires of cruelty. It was about staying alive long enough to build anything at all. For centuries, we've been told that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So the decent, the kind-hearted, the idealists, they often recoil from it. They associate power with coercion, greed, manipulation. They say things like, "Politics is dirty. I don't want to play games. I'd rather just live an honest life and stay out of all that." And this instinct, while noble, has a dark side. Because when the good step back, the ambitious step in. When the kind withdraw, the cunning take the throne. Power abhors a vacuum. If the wise do not claim it, the wicked will. And Machiavelli saw this happen again and again in Renaissance Italy. Noble republics collapsing under the boots of mercenaries and opportunists because the moral failed to understand the mechanisms of control. This is one of the central truths of Machiavellian realism. Your refusal to engage with power does not protect you from it. You may choose not to play the game, but the game will still be played on you. Decisions about your life, your community, your future will still be made, just not by people who share your values. And here lies the silent tragedy of many societies. The people most worthy of power often feel unworthy of wielding it, while the people least fit to lead charge ahead without hesitation. Machiavelli wasn't asking the good to become ruthless. He was begging them to stop being naive, to stop assuming that truth alone will win. Because truth needs defenders, justice needs protectors, and idealism without armor becomes a victim. He wanted the moral person to understand that power is not the enemy of goodness, but the tool by which goodness survives. So the question becomes, if you care about truth, about fairness, about protecting the vulnerable, don't you have a responsibility to be powerful enough to defend them? If not you, then who? Think of power like fire. In the wrong hands, it burns down cities. In the right hands, it lights homes, forges steel, and cooks food. Power itself isn't evil, but ignorance of power, that's dangerous. Machiavelli argued that if good people want to preserve justice, protect the weak, and lead wisely, they need to stop treating power like a taboo. They need to learn when to negotiate and when to stand firm, when mercy is strength and when it's weakness, when to wait and when to strike first. But what is power really? Power is the ability to make things happen. It's the capacity to influence outcomes, whether through persuasion, leadership, resources, networks, or knowledge. It's not always about domination or control. Sometimes it's about setting the agenda, framing the conversation, or building alliances that others can't break. Power is the difference between being ignored and being heard, between watching history and shaping it. And here's the benefit. When good people understand power, they don't become tyrants. They become defenders. They become protectors of fragile values in hostile environments. They can resist corruption without being destroyed by it. They can lead without selling their soul. Machiavelli didn't believe you had to choose between virtue and effectiveness. He believed the most dangerous lie was that you couldn't have both. That to be good, you had to be weak. Or that to be strong, you had to be cruel. He wanted the idealist to become the strategist, the philosopher to become the protector, the dreamer to become the builder. You don't have to be a king, a president, or a CEO for Machiavelli to matter. In today's world, filled with political noise, misinformation, and power games in every arena, we are all players in the field. Whether you're a teacher, a manager, an activist, a parent, or a creator, you're influencing others, and you're being influenced. If you don't understand power, you'll be manipulated by those who do. You'll fall into traps you never saw coming. You'll wonder why your integrity isn't enough. But if you do understand power, you'll protect what matters. You'll lead without being misled. You'll stay grounded, while others lose their balance. Machiavelli isn't asking you to abandon your ethics. He's asking you to pair your ethics with wisdom. So let's imagine something together. What if the people who were kind, honest, and just were also the ones who understood strategy, timing, and strength? What if you, the idealist, became dangerous to the corrupt? What if you walked into rooms of power and didn't shrink? What if you could outsmart those who manipulate, not with cruelty, but with clarity? Machiavelli didn't believe that power makes people evil. He believed that not understanding power makes good people powerless. It is not enough to want good. You must be strong enough to protect it. Because the world doesn't just need more good people. It needs good people who are wise, good people who are strategic, good people who understand how the game is played and how to change it.